We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Life as a Chad podcast. Thank you for being with me. The channel is getting some nice growth. One of the videos that I did titled Sydney Watson is a Feminist has got some pretty damn good traction. So I appreciate all of you who have already subbed to the channel. Before I ask you to sub, let me introduce the topic for the day. I thought since today is Sunday, I just got back from church, that I would make not a case, okay, because I'm not trying to make a case. It's more of an explanation. And if I decide to do a case or make a case for the topic that I will be discussing, it will be longer with more material and evidence, but I will try and put some material in this. But see, the problem when you don't go to Men's Warehouse, see, this is a Macy's dress shirt. Okay. The problem when you don't go to Men's Warehouse and get your neck, and I shouldn't even be advertising them, but when you don't go to a designer place for your dress shirts, the neck, the neck part is never perfect. It should fit around your neck like a glove, like a fucking glove. Anyways, since I'm getting back from church, and like I said, I'm not going to be making a case. It's more of an explanation. And I wanted to do a video on this, and so I'm glad to be doing it. I wish I had somebody like myself when I was in middle school, high school, and college, as you guys can see behind me. Associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree. We are going to be talking about evolution and what I think evolution does and to the human spirit, both as a group and on an individual level, and some points on why I don't think it is true, why I don't believe evolution. Okay, but before we get into any of that, I want to mention going to 24. I want to mention smashing that subscribe button because, well, subscribing makes you feel good. South Park. Like, comment, share. Send this to my boy Nick. See if he gets a hold of this. And that, that's kind of where I want to start is, I'm glad that people like Nick Fuentes and, Jay Dyer, guys like that are they are kind of celebrities, celebrities, and they push back just as I did and am right now against the mainstream narrative. And that's where we need to start, okay? If you're a young individual and you end up watching this video, or you're an old, middle-aged, who knows, but more specifically, a young individual who is being taught all of this, you need to realize right off the bat that there is such a thing as a mainstream narrative that is designed, it is put together against you. It is absolutely 100% designed to make you believe one thing and continue down that road into being a submissive citizen. And just some background on this, okay? I have grown up in California. Don't want to dox myself here, but and I lived in the suburbs. Okay, my dad is a very good father. I have a great family, and I grew up in the suburbs, pretty well off area. And the first time we started learning about evolution was in middle school. I can't remember if it was sixth or seventh grade. It might have even been eighth grade. I can't remember. And I remember I was one of the only kids pushing back against evolution, because in my mind, if evolution was true, there was no God. And I still believe that. They both can't be correct. As I've gotten older, there was a professor of mine who was an evolutionary Catholic, or a Catholic evolutionist. And to me, both worldviews are so diametrically opposed that you cannot believe both. And I remember going up to my teacher saying, and I asked him, I said, do you think it's wrong? And we had many, many discussions. He was my biology teacher. We had many discussions. And I went up to him one day and I said, do you think it's fair to make young kids decide on what they believe? Basically, the biggest worldview you could have at such a young age. Because in my opinion, it was not okay to be asking young kids to make a decision that early on, where you haven't grown your cojones yet, your balls haven't dropped, and you don't have the courage to say, fuck that. I don't think that makes sense. That sounds like some bull jive to me. I can't remember what his answer was, but I think he said no, but I do specifically remember asking that. I must have learned about evolution in my suburban, well-off public school system in probably 4 times before college. It was in middle school, I think twice. Then in high school, we learned about it, probably fucking 2 more times. And plus the Big Bang was thrown in there. So we learned about it many times. And, now that I'm older, I look back and I say, you're damn right, that was nefarious that they made us learn about it 4 or 5 times. Because ultimately what they were trying to do was beat people like me into submission, into believing it, if I did not already. I went to 2 Christian universities, and I think evolution was discussed, but not like it was. And then, so I played collegiate water polo. I went to a junior college first, and then I walked on at a university. So I am a former Division I athlete in water polo. And we learned about evolution one more time in college, in the junior college system. And so point is, I was bombarded with evolution. Actually, I was taught it twice. I was taught it in anthropology and I was taught it in biology. So if I think about how many times I was taught about evolution, it was probably upwards of 6 fucking times. It was crazy. In college, I was the only student to make a case against evolution. And the whole time, by the way, excuse my cursing. I don't really think cursing is, because you're going to say, but Nolan, you just said you got back from church. Okay. Let's see what this Guardian thing has to say. It's funny. I don't know if you've ever seen, and actually I'm going to use this as one of my pieces of evidence against evolution. It's from the movie Idiocracy, and I had never thought about this before, but evolution is basically, and I know there's going to be some people saying, no, you don't even know what evolution is, but in a nutshell, it is, let's see how I'm going to articulate this. It is, let's see if I can find it. Oh, yep. It is survival of the fittest, in which an organism, in order to survive, must mutate or basically die. Okay. And once they mutate, somewhere down the line, they have evolved officially. And that is a point of contention for me, but I don't want to get too far here. Okay. And this is actually, but the point is, and you need to remember this, is that if it is survival of the fittest, then how could this be right? Or how could this be the case? If you haven't seen Idiocracy,
USA wouldn't let you in, huh?
If you haven't seen Idiocracy, okay, at the beginning of the movie, they basically they show the modern era of intellectuals basically debating for their whole marriage whether having a kid is right or wrong, and they end up not having any kids. Whereas the dumb parents, the white trash parents, the ghetto parents, have tons of kids. Now, let me ask you, if evolution was accurate, 100% accurate, or let me rephrase that. If that is how it's been, which is totally possible, if you look at the stats, that lower IQ parents are the ones having kids, especially in the modern era, then that would be evidence against evolution, as evolution is survival of the fittest. But this is evidence to suggest that at least in the human species, that it's not always the case that the fittest people are the ones having kids. Anyways, let's back up a little bit. So I learned about evolution about 1,000 times. I'm getting on tangents here. And I grew up Protestant. I'm not officially Eastern Orthodox yet. But I am highly considering it. And that is definitely a gripe that I have against Protestantism, and I've said it in previous videos, is that because of the nature of the Protestant faith, they are, and their lack of tradition and their lack of a foundation, historical foundation, due to that, they are absolutely susceptible towards sorry, I thought I was going to burp there, towards siding with society. And in the Bible, it says that you are not of the culture that you are in. Being a Christian, you are outside of it. But due to the nature of it, of Protestantism, they are absolutely susceptible to outside influence because they don't have historical culture, tradition. They don't have hierarchical individuals or a hierarchical system in place that if there is some situation that's sneaking its way into the church, that they can say, hold on, nope, that's not okay, back up. They don't have that. So feminism, evolution, the Big Bang Theory, all are well in the Protestant church because they don't have those things. But I don't want to go too far into that. But, you know, the good news is my grandfather, my father, some other Christians, some websites here and there, even though they were not as easy to find as other Google pushed sites declaring evolution to be king. I was still able to have great conversations and have it revealed to me great information on why evolution was false and where the theory came up massively short. But I got to be honest, guys, it was not as easy to find now. I mean, now if I wanted to, I could look up on YouTube and Jay Dyer would pop up, who is a philosopher, and he would have 10 bullet points to refute not only scientism, but evolution, the Big Bang, the whole 9 yards. That just didn't exist. And I'm only 27. It was not as readily available, but I did still have help. So the point is, I pushed back, okay? And yes, at times it was hard because I know there were some other students, and I couldn't care less about this, but there were some other students who were like, dude, what are you talking about? It is, usually girls, it's absolutely true. So anyways, so it was hard. It was difficult. That's what she said. Let me take a sip of coffee. Now, evidence aside, and I already gave you one piece, which is that it is totally possible that as opposed to the strongest of the human species or species before, according to evolution theory, as opposed to the strongest having all the offspring, it is completely possible that the lowest income, lowest IQ, whitest trash, ghettoest people are the ones having the kids, and their genes are the genes that are living on, which if that did happen, it would be direct evidence that evolution, the evolution theory is false, because in evolution it is survival of the fittest. It excuse me is under the assumption that the strongest of society are the ones breeding and having kids. Here, let's watch this.
Evolution was at a turning point. Natural selection, the process by which the strongest, the smartest,
I really hope I don't get copyrighted on this. We're only going to watch a little bit of it.
Reproduced in greater numbers than the rest, a process which had once favored the noblest traits of man.
See? Survival of the fittest. It it favored the strong, not the weak, as it shows here in Idiocracy. And not only not the strong, but like I said, the low IQ, the low earners, ghetto, the whole 9 yards.